Alrighty, everybody. So, we are doing a little update on the shop, how things are going. Cub is still apart. Head's got to get machined. So until that's done, can't do anything. All the Allis-Chalmers rams are done. They work and they don't leak. So, we are there's not much of an update video there until we'll see more videos on the Allis-Chalmers as we put a clutch in it, as we weld up and remount the loader eyelets for the pivot pins because those are worn. As we do more serious work on the Allis-Chalmers, we'll do videos. I gotta change the oil in it, so we'll do a video on that. And that's nice because it's a screw-on type oil filter, whereas with this, it's a canister that's cast into the block. You use a paper element, you just replace that. So we have to do that on this, change the fluid. I have to rebuild the hydraulic unit on this because it leaks out of the ram. So I guess not a rebuild, but a reseal. But yeah, so that's an all-in-one unit. That's reservoir. Well, it's all-in-one except the pump. Pump runs off front of the engine. There's the lines for the pump right down here. So that's the pump housing, which is driven by a gear off the crankshaft. So that's probably never ever going to break. Maybe at the end of time, when the universe swallows everything up, then it will stop working. But those gear-driven units, pretty indestructible, especially on something that's built like this. Like, this thing is so overbuilt. For 11 horsepower tractor, it's pretty robust. Will probably be around for the next 600 years, even if it's not running. It'll just be sitting here slowly rotting away, and in 600 years someone will find it and be like, oh, it's this ancient tractor, what they used to call a tractor, and they'll have no concept what that means 600 years from now. But anyways, that's a tangent. The tractor's very well built, but this is an all-in-one. This is your control, so it's your valve, it's your rod, your cylinder rod comes out right there. That's what's leaking. It's your reservoir, and then it's your control valve. Your control valve runs up to this lever to raise the rod up and down. It runs right there. There's a little in. Right. I'm trying to get it. The exhaust is in the way. But yeah, it's somewhere in there. You get the idea. By the way, we're going to get a new exhaust too. This flange is all rotted out. We'll just replace it. I have a muffler for it, but I got to pull the manifolds off so I can get to the camshaft cover, the side cover, I should say. Take this guy off. It does leak a little bit, so we'll replace the seal and inspect the valves. There's probably not a broken valve spring because it's overbuilt and these things can't rev super high, but there could be a broken valve spring. I don't have any noises or characteristics of one, but might as well inspect it. We're doing all this other work to it, and so we'll inspect that. We'll clean out the manifolds because I'm sure there's carbon buildup inside this one. I'm sure there's carbon buildup inside this one. So, and when I say manifolds, technically I'm speaking incorrectly. Manifold, because they are one cast unit. Which is interesting. So technically it's manifold we have to remove. The intake/exhaust manifold. And this is just pipe thread in here, which means my mother didn't go for it, and it's her tractor that she uses to mow the prairies. But put a piece of straight pipe in there and stack this puppy out the sheet metal. That would be cool. But she didn't want to do that because she likes the exhaust dumping out behind her. So yeah, we're only getting this new pipe. And then we'll stick a muffler down there somewhere if we have room. And if we don't, the tractor's so quiet it really doesn't need it. But yeah, so that's where we're at. Picked those up a while ago. I don't think I put anything on the tube. But those are for a special project that I am going to be starting this year. Those are, for anybody that doesn't know, those are out of a Model A. Came out of a running driving car, but the dude left water in it and it cracked the head. There's a crack right there. I won't be using the head, but I know I have a good spare crank, cam, rotating assembly and all that. I don't know if the block is cracked. I might have that checked probably, but this is a good practice head for if I want to drill a head out for dual spark. That's a good practice head for that. It's probably fixable, but I'm going to practice adding second set of spark plugs. And then this is a Virgin. This is very cool. This is a Virgin Ford Model A engine. And I know, you can tell, the guy I bought these from restored Model A's his whole life, so he had a pile of these things. All he did was restore Model A's, hot rod Model A's, do the mechanical work on them. He didn't do any of the body work, but he would like get them ready. He would fit the parts, and then he would send them off. Like he would fit them, and he would gap the body panels and all that, and then he'd send them off to a body shop. They'd take the cars completely apart, get them perfectly straight, and then paint them, buff them, put the bumpers back on and stuff like that, and put the lights back in. But he would put them together roughly so that they were 100% functioning mechanical cars and then send them to a body shop. Anyways, he would service them, do rebuilds, race them, do custom work, all that stuff. On Model A's, he's done pickups, he's done any Model A you can think of, he's touched. But he had a pile of these engines from customer cars who they didn't want the engine anymore because they were doing like flathead V8 stuff or something like that. So they would just give him the engine, which is not what I would do, but I would hang on to the engine because I'm a hoarder. But this is very cool. It's a Virgin Model A Ford engine. And it has the original Ford valves in it. You can see stamped with Ford. That is really cool. Both of these motors spin. Both of them, I can't really say this one has compression. That one has compression. This one, I put my hand over like so, and it seals, and you get so rings are probably good, but we're going to replace them anyways for the project this is going in. I would feel safer replacing them. The valves I'm not sure about. But yeah, I've never seen all the talk of Model A's and stuff. I did some internet research. I found one post on the internet, which I know the internet is not a source for all the information that can be known about a Model A Ford. But Virgin Black, pretty cool. And all these side valve engines that I'm working on, I'll be, a little spoiler, but I'm buying another car. I'm selling my 67 Ford Mustang that was slated to be turbocharged and have an 8-inch put in it. I can always buy another Mustang, but another car came up that I've been looking for 2 years, over 2 years, which isn't that long to be looking for a car. But I got lucky. One popped up for sale. It's not the most desirable variant, but I really like it because it's 4-door. It's not a super desirable variant because they made 2 doors and they made 4 doors, but it's a 4-door fastback flathead engine, which sort of gives you the decade in which it was built. Because the 4-door fastback is really popular in 1940s, late 40s to early 50s. So like a 46 up until like even a 53 American built car, and even into the early 40s before the war effort started. So up until 42. But side valve 4-door fastback car, super cool, has an interesting story. But anyways, you'll see it when I pick it up this weekend. But anyways, all these side valve engines that I've been working on, and all the side valve engines through my whole life. What I really like about all these side valve flathead motors is they are robust. And I'm talking about the inlines. I mean, the Ford flathead V8 is super cool. They're pricey to build, and they run hot. They did run hot back when they were new. They had a propensity to run hot. So replacement blocks were pretty common. That is my understanding. I was not alive back when that was a production engine, but that is my understanding from the research I've done, especially when you stick that V8 into a 2.5-ton truck. and then you put a blower on top of it, because they had these gearbox-driven scroll superchargers that were flipped on, instead of running off the belt, it was flipped on its side and stuck between the carburetor and the intake manifold, and that was your supercharged from the an upfitter supercharged scroll supercharger on a flathead V8. Super cool. I don't know if they did anything like that on the Model A. I'm 99% sure there was no forced induction on a Model A. Or not, I shouldn't say Model A, but the engine. So Model A, Model B, these 2.4 liters, 144 cubic inch flathead 4 cylinders. I'm sure there was no forced induction back then. But on the flathead Ford V8, they would have a scroll type supercharger, which is super cool. Super cool. But like I was saying, on all these side valve motors, they are so freaking robust. This one, you know, it's virgin black. It gets a little thin there. And this is an industrial application, so it's really not fair. It's overbuilt. But that is a thick block. And it's really, really cool to know that it is that robust on the inside. And that's 1 liters. It's itty bitty. It's kind of cool. We're keeping this covered because we're cutting steel. So that is the Model A engine. The Model A engines. I just picked up these new trailer ramps. They're longer. They're 5 feet long. They're just over 5 feet long, like 62 inches, 62.5 inches. These are a little short though. My trailer deck sits about up here. When I hook the ramps in, that's a little too big of a difference for me. So I'm cutting up. I bought this hitch dirt cheap. I was gonna modify this so I can put it on a tractor and hook implements up to it. You know, you get those cheap little snow plows you can put in there. That would be cool. Ball hitches, ring hitches, whatever you want, so you can pull stuff around with a trailer. So I bought this just for the crossbar and the receiver welded to it, but it came with these extra pieces of steel. So I was like, oh, bonus. So I'm cutting it apart right now. You can see I chopped a section out for this piece, which is not square, and the edges are rough because I'm not cutting it with a torch or a plasma cutter or anything like that. But this piece, we're going to clean up the rust on the other side too. But we're going to weld it on. We're going to stick it right there. And that's going to give me the lip that I want. And then my ramps will sit flush with the deck of my trailer. And that's a pretty thick piece of steel, so it's not going anywhere. But these ramps should be fine for pretty much everything I tow. I think, personally, the steel is a little thinner than what I would like to see, but for loading up something that weighs 7,000 pounds, it should be fine. But yeah, these are decently thick and they're pretty wide this way, which I like to see. It's just these center pieces. I probably would have built them out of the same gauge steel that the sides are, but I'm not complaining. But yeah, so new longer trailer ramps. Hopefully I won't need the extensions, but I probably will still. And then I'll update on this car. This is a Sierra 62 F85. We pulled the aluminum engine on, and we pulled the seats on to learn a little bit about the car. Super solid, just as we thought. It looked super solid from the underside of the car. Now it looks super solid from the inside. Interesting, on these seats, they use 4 bolts for each side, for each rail on the bench seat in the front. So that's 8 bolts. That's not like any of the other old cars I've worked on, where it's 4 bolts and the seat comes out. And then this seat, you just bend those tabs up and then take the back out. So it's extra bolts that I'm used to in the front seat and absolutely 0 bolts in the back seat. We found out the original carpet color, because that was all faded. So there's your strip. That's the original carpet color. This nice green color, and that's what color it is now. There's some original paint underneath the carpet as well. Right there, but that's sort of the color that's on the dash, like the painted part of the dash. That's the material, the unfaded material, what the headliners looked like, because they were the headliner matched the sun visor, so it was a polka dot headliner, which is kind of cool. We got to get the gas pedal out, but that is fastened weird. I can't tell quite how it comes out just by looking at it, so that's why we didn't pull the front carpet yet. Trunk divider's out when that was in good shape, so we're gonna reuse that. And they put a pad underneath the seat, and that was in good shape as well, so we're gonna reuse that. Yeah, there's your trunk divider. She's got some mouse house she's got to suck up off of it yet. Vents are good. This one is a little rough, but again, look at that. It's just your wet feet go right next to this, and it's just particle board. You can see all the water damage on it. So by the time you got to the 60s and the 70s, the late 60s, these were plastic. But yeah, it's just stupid press particle. It's cardboard. It's just cardboard, which is just hilarious to me. Makes it really easy to replicate. You can just go out and buy some cardboard and paint it. Cut its shape and paint it. So that's nice in that respect. But and the door cards are made out the same way. It's just annoying. I'm pretty sure this seat is faded. I'm not sure though. Actually, hold on. There's some blue fabric back there. I'm not really sure because none of this. I would assume maybe this isn't faded because that's folded over and that wouldn't have been in the sun and in the desert. I don't know. I don't know what to make of the seat color. Not sure. But seats are out. A lot of mouse house to suck up. No, the car did not smell like urine, like mouse droppings or anything like that. So I think that mouse house has been vacated for a while. We'll know if we find any little mouse skeletons in there. How long it's been empty. But the car is coming along. We did not find any build sheets in this car. A little disappointed about that, but super cool is it's from 1962. But we have the original Protecto plate in here, which none of my cars even have the original Protecto plate, so I'm kind of jealous of this. But there's all the information of the original owner of the car. This one was already unstuck. The adhesive failed. But this one is still stuck, so we're going to leave it. Yeah, sold new to a man in Albuquerque, a Mr. F.H. Archuleta, at that address in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is kind of cool, on April 7th, 1962. So, this car just passed its sales date anniversary, which is kind of cool. Yeah, original Protect plate, it's the owner protection plan. It's all in there. Tons of paperwork. Not tons. Current year registration from 1976 in New Mexico. So it's still being driven well over a decade later. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Ooh, what is that? There's a 78 certificate of registration from Mr. Archuleta as well. Same guy, so original owner. Look at that. That is the original registration. No, that's not the registration. What is that? We got registration certificate and official receipt. That is super cool. They put a little calendar in there for the model year. That's pretty cool. But look at that. Original registration. Man, that's super cool. Oh, selling dealer name. Gales Callis Motor Company. Oh, that's super cool. I wish Sierra was here right now to see this, but she'll see it eventually. That's super cool. Okay, but anyways, that's the update on the shop. I gotta get back to chopping steel. So, yeah, that's it. Later.